it is. That's pretty dang awesome. Want to say good morning, welcome into you. Hope you had a good weekend. It's National Frank and Beans Day. Sounds awful. That's right up your alley. It's baked beans and that stuff that you always say that you like. It's really not. I mean, it's food to get full. I mean, it's not food that you go, oh, wow, that's amazing. I mean, look, if the world goes to hell economically, I'll eat that. Okay.
Have they not tried to culinary it up, though?
You can't. It's Frank and Beans. Or Beans and Franks, according to this. I thought it was always Frank and Beans. But anyway, this is Beans and Franks. So, yeah. I did get through 4th of July without having baked beans. I felt like that was a big, big win. So, and on Saturday, we got off the boat, DoorDash, Taste Italian Kitchen. It was perfect. Too hot to cook. Pizzas and cold salads. Fabulous wood-fired pizzas and cold salads from Taste Italian Kitchen. It was delicious. For sure. TasteItalianKitchen.com. They've got a big wine tasting and dinner coming up that we're going to tell you more about as the week unfolds. The Dancing Rabbit Golf text line, 601-885-3776. Find us on X at Bo Bounds. And the Michelob Ultra caller line is 601-707-3750. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go with the home team, as Jake Mangum likes to tell us. Boy, he had a huge game this past week and continues to make big-time plays for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that is good to see. But go with the home team, Farm Bureau Insurance. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Let me go over the players that were drafted. We got it? All right, we will switch gears. We're going to talk a little Michigan Wolverine athletic department. And we're going to welcome in Steve Dace. At Michigan Podcast, he's joined us several times over the years, certain things going on. And Steve Dace, you're plugged into Michigan for a while now. Did you see Athletic Director Ward Manuel's ouster coming, or did this catch you off guard?
It didn't catch me off guard at all. I thought it was 50-50, and it was going to be pretty much tied to whether the Paige Shriver report was going to come out or not. The athletic director investigation, or the athletic department investigation that was initiated back in January, which Ward helped himself to initiate, by the way. But I figured it was going to be tied to whether that report, Bo, ever came out or not. It's very interesting to watch universities that consider themselves paragons of progressive virtue, like the University of Michigan. It's very interesting to watch them operate because, we had the former president here, Mark Schlissel, who tried to use every ounce of power he had to shut down the 2020 college football season during COVID, to demonstrate as a medical professional, his virtue and concern for the student athletes. At the same time, he was carrying on an illicit affair with a subordinate at the university and eventually lost his job, something that's kind of page one in the manual at the university. It will always do the right thing once it is eventually forced to. That's kind of been how it's operated now for a couple of decades on multiple fronts. It's really been, sadly, how things have operated kind of pretty much since Bo died in 2006.
Wow.
And I think that that's a couple of decades now, And so I think it was going to come down to this report. If the report was going to be forced out, then I thought Ward would be forced out. If they could bury the report, then he could probably survive a little bit longer. She's going to force the report out. She's got a FOIA lawsuit going on against the university. Michigan loses these FOIA lawsuits like all the time. They always try to bury stuff like this. And this time it's going to come out. And I think that you're seeing an embattled board of regents in the state now trying to get ahead of it. And they're negotiating a buyout, which essentially are probably the terms of Ward's NDA, if we're being honest. And let's just all move on.
So Steve Dace, Michigan insider on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, they fired Sharon Moore last year through all of those, indiscretions. And then they hired Kyle Whittingham. And as Steve Dace said, they signed on Jenner and Block, a law firm out of Chicago, paid $12 million to do this open investigation of the athletic department. And evidently Ward Manuel did X, Y, and Z wrong. Do you believe that he will? I saw the 36-month buyout. Do you believe that he will receive his buyout, or there's enough in the report investigation to get Michigan off the hook of whatever that is, $2 million plus a year?
I think that Ward will be given ample compensation for both the momentous success that Michigan had at times in all kinds of sports. I think every sport at Michigan's won a Big Ten championship or thereabouts since he came on board. I think he'll be given financial recognition, I'll put it, for the success that's been demonstrated on the field of play, and also for his ongoing assistance and not being a material witness. That's what I think is likely going to happen. Yeah.
All right. So I wish, for Michigan to be, you just said it, for Michigan to be as dysfunctional as they are at times, both academically and athletically, and a powerhouse at the same time, and yet win national titles in sports that matter, like Harbaugh in football and Dusty May in basketball. I mean, that's what's incredible to me, Steve. Does that surprise you, considering everything you know?
I mean, it does, but is it really incredible to you? I mean, Bo, you're in the SEC. You guys have done this all our lives, I mean, so I think what's different is you guys are just more honest, all right? And there's no virtue signaling in your neck of the woods about this. And there's at least some honor among thieves, I guess I'll put it, a prison code. Up here, I think that what makes this really much more unlikable when a school like Michigan does it, frankly, is, again, they want to parade around progressive virtue, and then at the same time, they then want to maybe go right up to not up to quite the line that, an Alabama would have gone to, or in the 80s and 90s, or a myriad of SEC programs, and then claim, okay, because we didn't go over that line, look how much better a people we are.
Right.
And that's just it's a crock. And what's sad about it is, number one, there's just an immense amount of high quality student athletes that come out of the Michigan programs. What you're not going to find. There's been so many problems surrounding that 2023 football team. None of them really involve any of the players. They're almost all upstanding guys. They're almost all very likable guys. I mean, Blake Corum is his nickname could be son-in-law. Like every father in America wants their daughter to bring Blake Corum home for a husband, okay, for a beau. And a lot of the hits that Michigan has taken are for guys like Matt Weiss, how he passed any vetting process to be a total creeper, and yet he wasn't good at his job, I mean, if a Penn State's going to look the other way at Jerry Sandusky for decades, Jerry Sandusky was once one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. Michigan's doing this for guys like LaTroy Lewis, who gets found out after he leaves to go join the Atlanta Falcons, for Matt Weiss, who even players on the team thought was odd and weird and offered nothing and no idea where he came from or what he was doing, and they actually had a better offense after he got busted and had his title taken away from him. It was very clear watching the product on the field last year. They were going to go 9-3 just because they were that much physically more talented than 9 opponents. When they played 3 teams that could punch back, they completely fell apart. And yet Sharon Moore would still be the coach here right now if Page had not come forward, which just ought to blow your mind. Okay. And so one thing about Michigan is Michigan is great at producing greatness and great for taking hits to its reputation for people who, frankly, just aren't worth it. And it's been Juwan Howard. How many times was he permitted to act out while we're going like 17-14 in the regular season? Why? It's really just truly mystifying, and it makes you kind of think that if they ever actually took maybe some of their own talking points more seriously about being leaders and best and demanding meritocracy and high performance and integrity, along with those resources. I mean, you noted, look how good we do when we're not doing that.
Right.
How much better would we be if we actually did so? Yes.
Steve Dace, Michigan Insider. They're going to fire their athletic director this week, and they fired their football coach last year who was involved in a scandal. Now, the interesting part of this is they upgraded massively. Kyle Whittingham can flat out coach. He did an incredible job at Utah, which is not Michigan or Georgia or so on. And they're still Michigan. They trip over really good coaches. I mean, Dusty May just left for the Mavericks after winning a national title. So dysfunctional, yet still always going to bring in talented players because of the brand and the massive alumni base. Steve Dace on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So how do you just kind of walked us through a couple of things with the Michigan football program? How is somebody who loves the Michigan Wolverines, how do you look at Jim Harbaugh after his tenure in Michigan and everything that he gave y'all that was great, but then some of the turmoil and scandals?
The biggest thing I would say about Jim, and I could care less about Burgergate or any of the rest of that. I just don't care, and neither does anybody else. And I think a lot of that stuff was blown out of proportion because Jim was the most high-profile person messaging things about we need to create a transfer portal, player compensation at the time that the NCAA was in its death throes trying to fight that stuff. And I just think the NCAA largely detested him. But what I would fault Jim for, and I think that this was done wrong in the Connor Stallions affair also, is instead of saying things like, I don't recall if I bought those kids a burger after the Wisconsin game when they came up here for when them and their families came up here to show support for me when I was very embattled and there was talks about getting rid of me during the COVID season. I don't recall if I bought them a burger at breakfast at one of the M spots the next day. What I fault him for, because that's the kind of stuff, if don't be a very provocative leader. And then when the system comes back at you for trying to confront it, then try to, use some political legalese. Okay. What I would have thought would have been very fascinating and would have been way more preferable is if Jim would have just simply said, hell yeah. Okay. You guys won't do anything to police all these under the table payments for years. I've got to figure out what I could possibly do to recruit. When I've got Clemson calling Rashawn Gary on signing day, just as he's about to go on ESPN to announce his commitment and offering him $400,000, all right, to sign, to switch his commitment 5 minutes after 2 years of recruiting maybe goes down the drain. You bet your ass I'm trying to find every last advantage I can because you guys don't enforce your own rules. So I don't owe you jack squat. In other words, my point is there were opportunities here to own the moment. I thought that the Connor Stallions case should have never, ever been argued on any grounds other than what rule here was actually broken. What rule? It's not against the rules to steal signs. And yet this whole thing is called a sign stealing scandal. So what was the rule? Oh, well, people went there in person. So in other words, people walked into a stadium in a public event utilizing devices that everyone in the stadium currently has. That's your big scandal. So now everybody that sits in there with a phone and puts any amount of film that they just saw up on a Twitter feed or a website, which 1 million people do every week, that's now an NCAA violation. I mean, my point being is there were moments here to call to Mr. Smith goes to Washington, the system,
Right.
and Michigan failed. Michigan failed to do that every single time, and then and tried to hide behind like legalese and get cute with it and find fanciful attempts to massage it, and then ended up just harming its own integrity in those situations all the more. When I thought what they should have done is actually challenge the merits of the system in and of itself, and I thought they would have become, I think, in many more respects, more folk hero, than scandal. But they didn't do that, and maybe now we're learning one of the reasons that they didn't do that is there were other things happening under our noses we didn't know about,
Right.
like what was really going on in Sharon Moore's private life and things of that nature, right? And so, I work in politics full time, and I can just tell everybody in your audience, when a politician, and I don't care what party they're from, when there's an obvious principled play to make and they won't make it, I can promise you it's 99% because there's something else going on in their lives or in their campaigns that they don't want to come out, and so they don't think they have the moral standing to do this. So they're trying, rather than being exposed somewhere else, and so they're attempting to be cute in a way that obviously isn't going to be successful. And I think ultimately that's what happened here at Michigan. It's not the stuff up front, Connor, Burgergate, that shows like yours around the country talk about. That was essentially the undoing of a reputation here. But it's the stuff that came out later, like about Sharon Moore, that was really the real, and Matt Weiss. Those things were the real problems and the real reasons why they didn't take a more forthright stance against those other things. And in the grand scheme of things, all right, whether it's stealing signs or paying burgers to a kid, for buying burgers for a kid at breakfast the morning after an illicit recruiting trip, that stuff doesn't mean jack squat. But it became quite meaningful because of the stuff we found out later was actually going on underneath the surface.
Okay. And so Michigan will make a new hire. It's a top 10 job in the country, and you do have a better football coach, and things will march on.
That's the perfect time to do this now, Bo. We have a grown man, an adult. He can essentially be the associate AD in charge of football for the next, 12 to 24 months. So Michigan can find the new president and the new AD. You have a basketball coach who has really no contract at all, and an extremely talented roster. Still, this has got to be a top 10 starting five in college basketball next season. The entire roster that Dusty recruited is intact. So, he'll get a chance to prove himself. I mean, if he can't at least get to the, second weekend of the NCAA tournament and a top 4 double bye finish in the Big Ten with this roster, then he's Mike Boynton, who failed at Oklahoma State, and you just move on very quickly, and it's painless and doesn't cost you anything. So this is really kind of the ideal time to reassess your athletic department, fumigate the last remaining places, and bring in your new general. I mean, Michigan will fail up here, just like what happened with Sharon Moore. That's going to end up being the most successful sex scandal in the history of American enterprise. I mean, we upgraded from Sharon Moore to a guy bound for the Hall of Fame with a major chip on his shoulder, and we're going to really upgrade here at athletic director too. So it is amazing sometimes how Michigan will still manage to fail up.
Incredible. Steve Deace at Michigan Podcast on Twitter, Michigan Insider on the Out of Bounds Show. Steve, thanks so much, man. Hope you're having a good summer. We'll talk soon.
You got it, brother. God bless.
He's awesome. Steve Deace, Michigan Insider on the Out of Bounds Show. Michigan will fire their athletic director, if they haven't already, this week after a $12 million investigation into their athletic department by a law firm in Chicago because of what happened last year with the Sharon Moore, Paige Shivers scandal, and then eventual lawsuit from Paige Shivers. Okay. And so Sharon Moore is gone. Y'all know that. Not that you ever really got to know him. He was only there for 5 minutes. Harbaugh left to go to the Chargers. They promoted from within. He wasn't ready. Plus, he had all this stuff going on. Now, Dace does make a good point about failing up on this thing. They just brought in a Hall of Fame coach and a guy named Kyle Whittingham from Utah, who has been winning at Utah since Urban Meyer left Utah to go to Florida. I mean, he's just a dude. Big trench play guy. Y'all know when you did watch Utah, some of you never, some of you occasionally, but they were, I mean, physical, sound, line of scrimmage, offensive line, had a lot of SEC, right? Mojo and blood in their program. I mean, he believed in physicality and kicking your you-know-what and all that stuff. So I mean, Michigan's always going to be the number 2 recruiter in the Big Ten, majority of the time. Every now and then maybe the number 1, every now and then maybe the number 3, depending on what Penn State's doing. But they're going to be in the top 1% of football recruiting every year. They can knock down a number 4 or a number 8 class with their eyes closed, and they've got more money than God. So, and they've won with all that dysfunction and, the driven by progressive virtues and all that stuff. Because of who they are, and Harbaugh is one of the best ever coach college football. I mean, he won at San Diego, not San Diego State. Harbaugh won at San Diego. They had no scholarships. He went to Stanford. They were awful the 20 years prior to his arrival. He won. Now they're awful again. You see the tie. He goes to Michigan. They could never get over the hump in the modern day. Okay, I throw out the 97 thing. They can never get over the hump in modern day football. And then he beats Ohio State 3 times in a row. One time where he wasn't the coach because of nonsense NCAA stuff. I think that was the Connor Stallion stuff. Or maybe it was Burgergate. I don't remember which one where he got held. Remember he got held early in the year for 2 games and then he got held late in the year? Anyway, they went on to go undefeated and win the national championship. So a little bit of dysfunction in Ann Arbor. We'll see where it leads. We'll get back into some Mississippi State Ole Miss. Steve Robertson will join us at 9:30 late in the show, last segment. He'll join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. I'm your host, Bo Bounds, on the Out of Bounds Show.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
Oh.
Anybody else got any questions about any college jobs? There's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
Still love it. It's still in my top 5. I want to say hey to you. Good morning. What's up? I hope y'all look fabulous today. Yeah, going into work or the gym, or your tennis match before Chardonnay and luncheon. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone.
Anyone else?
Well, we'll see. We're brought to you by Pearl River Resort and Bo Bounds Straight Funk with you as we're summering. I just want y'all to know that I spent 2 nights on the Mississippi Gulf Coast last week. Had a good time. Went to the newest steakhouse on the coast in Harrah's. It's called Coast Chop House. Insane. Phenomenal. Ribeye, pork belly, unbelievable bourbon. It's just great. But it was good to see some of the good people down there. You'd be proud of me. Look, we had a client down there,
Nice.
vendors tied in. Actually went out to the pool Thursday afternoon.
All right.
Yep, I did.
Did you? Were you dressed to impress, or were you just going to scout?
Well, I had on
Swim trunks.
swim
Let's
trunks
go.
and a T-shirt, my hat backwards.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, so you went to the pool?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were.
So at first it was 5 of us,
Okay.
but not everybody was there. We had people driving in from New Orleans, Baton Rouge,
Yeah.
and Fairhope,
Nice.
and then 2 of us were from Jackson, but in separate cars because I went down a night early to visit with some other people.
Yeah.
And so I met Mick Gillespie.
Yeah.
Okay, number 1 Bama tailgate show.
Yeah.
His Chicago Cubs show that he does every day did 587,000 views in the month of June. So Mick Gillespie and I got there early, and it's been a long time since I've been out to the Bow or the Hard Rock Pool. Okay. Now I've done shows from the Hard Rock Pool and maybe the Bow. I've done shows from the Bow, but I don't remember if I've been at the pool. Anyway, the dude from Baton Rouge had rented us this, chairs and umbrella right by the pool, which I didn't even know that was cool.
Oh yeah.
Well, we went to the bar. It's covered. It's shade.
Cabana?
We got, and it was great because we got to eat a burger, catch up for the first time in months, and it felt great underneath. It was actually super shade. Yeah, you're right on the ocean. I guess there was a little breeze, but I don't usually do that. And so, but we hung out at the pool for a couple hours. Average age was probably 60.
Nice.
60.
So they were partying.
There was a Mississippi bar conference or convention. So I guess there were a bunch of attorneys just in case I needed any kind of legal advice while I was there.
Right.
Sometimes.
You never know. You never know.
You don't ever know. I ran into a friend. I was going over to get another towel, and I saw a buddy of mine. I was like, "What are you doing here?" He was like, "I'm here for the bar thing." I went, that's
nice.
That's cool."
So y'all were out there essentially y'all were at the Copacabana.
Yeah. How about that?
Barry Manilow.
Well,
it's a wonderful song.
It is a good song.
Phenomenal song.
Show is brought to you by the bone-in ribeye medium rare at Kessler Prime in the Renaissance. Pair it with a Tito's Espresso Martini or an Elijah Craig Manhattan. Absolutely delicious. KesslerPrime.com to make a reservation. So what'd you think about that? Can you believe I went to the pool and just chilled out, sipping on a Michelob Ultra with some buddies?
How long?
2 hours.
I refuse to believe that.
Yep, I was there.
There's not a chance. I need video proof. 2 hours?
2 hours.
Doing what? Just bro.
I was just standing in the pool.
No way.
Talking.
I don't believe
Well,
that.
one of them is our biggest client,
Yeah.
but also a very good friend.
Sure.
The others I work with in other ways, shapes, and forms.
That's what I'm talking about.
It was great.
So does that?
But we've all traveled together, and
Right.
we went to Vegas together last year.
Okay, yeah.
Jake Coker was there,
Yeah.
Bama champion. He thinks you're crazy.
I like that guy. I like that guy a lot.
He thinks you're nuts.
fair.
Coker's a good dude.
He seems funny.
And I went to Coast Chop House Wednesday night, BR Prime, and one of them paid for it Thursday
Nice.
night. Yeah, I thought that was great. We had some wine, Luca Syrah, for the price. Spectacular.
Color was it?
What?
I didn't know if it was white wine.
Red
type,
wine.
but okay, look.
Red wine.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if you-
Mr. DX says, Bo put on his Olympic trunks.
Did you have
Hashtag on a heater.
one? Were you red, white, and blued?
No.
Okay, all right. Okay.
I just had on whatever Wendy bought me,
Nice.
some swim trunks. Yeah, swimsuits.
No Speedos in the group.
Not in our group. I didn't even see a
There wasn't an
Speedo
old person?
at the pool.
No way.
I don't think.
Well, that's a weird.
Now, don't hold me to that. But I did. You know what? The lady, our cocktail waitress at the pool, who was really nice, she told us that she walks 13 to 16,000 steps a day as a pool cocktail waitress on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And let me tell you, she looked fit.
Yeah, I bet. We don't
Okay.
have a choice. Walking that many steps a day.
She,
That's moving.
she looked fit.
Does that count?
But think about that. If you do 5 shifts a week,
Oh yeah, I mean, that's not
dude, that's some steps. Brother.
80,000, ain't it?
Yeah,
That's
serious.
that's moving and shaking.
Right.
So does that count for you? I mean, were you grounding at that point?
Not in the pool.
Not in the station.
I was in the lake yesterday
That's
and
great.
I was grounding.
Gotcha.
I was in the lake on Sunday
Okay.
and I was grounding.
Okay, because pools are stationary.
That's right.
Gotcha.
Or as far as I know, I wasn't thinking that I was grounding. If I was, great.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What if I make a bunch of waves in the pool?
Then I would have to ask someone.
I need to know if it's still
Yeah.
stationary water or not. 'Cause it's moving.
But lakes, oceans, rivers with moving water, yes.
Is Bar 2 going to be in a Speedo in this Geyser Falls trip?
I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, he's going to
Probably not, but
Does he know he's
I
going to?
do need to remind him. I'm glad for our listeners, Dave Bartu's coming in town. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
next week.
Yeah.
I got to get ready for that.
Yeah, it's
Good
here.
Lord.
I'm going up to prep it for you.
Okay. So Bartu will be with us Monday. He won't be on Monday, but he's coming in later and we're doing a show, if that makes sense. So he's taking a red eye. I think he'll be here like 9 a.m.
Surely.
By the time he gets over here, probably be 11 a.m. We're going to do an hour or so of YouTube. Out of Bounds Sports is the YouTube channel. And then we will do the show in studio on Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Because I'm taking him to dinner with some people Monday night. So studio Tuesday morning. Then we'll go to Pearl River Resort. We'll do a show that afternoon on YouTube. And then Wednesday morning, we'll do the full meal deal, either in the sports book or Dancing Rabbit Golf Club with Bartu. So total, it's going to be every bit of about 8 hours of Bartu. All right, we'll be back in a second. Love you.
Why is there air?
Every single morning in the shower. You know? Out of bounds, ESPN 1059 The Zone.
If a wise man had a dove in his pocket and a rock in his hand, where's the bullfrog?
This is a question that we continue to seek, right, on the journey of trying to figure this out. All hail Mike Leach. God, he would win big in this era. He'd be lethal in this era, especially once he decided that he was open to a dual threat quarterback. I mean, good grief. Just think about it. I mean, he was putting up crazy numbers and beating people at Texas Tech, Washington State, Mississippi State with quarterbacks as statues.
They stood there.
Can you imagine some guy with some wiggle?
God.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Can you imagine Mike Leach or Dan Mullen with Kamario Taylor?
No.
Mike, obviously, this new – he had been talked, I guess, the last 12 months, 18 months he was alive, maybe longer, as far as the dual threat thing. But can you imagine if Dan Mullen, Mike Leach, or, good Lord, Lane Kiffin had Kamario Taylor? Filthy. Absolutely filthy. Kendall Briles. There's some others out there.
Probably be eerily similar to the everyone that's using him on the freaking college football game that came out over the weekend.
Yeah. So did that drop on Friday or Saturday?
The 8th, whatever the 8th was.
Okay, so about 5 days ago.
Yes,
got it.
Like that, and it is. I told you the other day that they were going to use Ole Miss and use Ole Miss and use Ole Miss and use Trinidad. Well, it looks like they found Kamario. People are using him all over now.
Really?
Oh yeah. Him and Bluff, they're just run pass option the whole way through.
Crush it. Well, this is the best duo you've had since Nick Fitzgerald and Ayers Williams / Kylan behind him, which was a very successful and potent duo. Very, very talented. You actually have a talented combo duo of Kamario Taylor and Fluff Bothwell. Everybody's asking about the offensive line. Nobody knows. Maybe the coaching staff. Who knows what they know? But if they're just serviceable, Kamario and Fluff will make them good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about the O-line. If the O-line's just serviceable, you got Javen James who played left tackle for you and didn't look good last year, and Alabama picked him up and moved a freshman All-American right tackle to right guard so that they could put Javen James in at right tackle, and he's going to start at Alabama. This is going to be interesting to see what Phil Lodeholt can do. Who's not an X's and O's technical fundamental, guy. Now, look, man, if you had, and I know he was crazy, but if you had John Hevesy, he could get, and I don't even know how much talent it is, and I don't think anybody can with the portal because you're trying to assess people who are coming in and have never played for you and so on. But if you gave John Hevesy this group of guys, he could get every ounce of talent out of them.
Yeah.
So could Matt Luke.
Yes.
I mean, those are two of the best offensive line. Pete Jenkins obviously came through with Jackie Sherrill. That was before we ever even thought about talking about the value of assistant coaches for the most part. We didn't talk play calling all the time, OCs, DCs, and nobody could run any numbers on them like Bartu's been able to do. And so, and the Vandy guys just run stats, so I can do that on Claude. Right. But and I'm talking about their firm that they have that they claim to be an analytics firm that's a stats firm. That's different. We all know that, right? Analytics stats. But, Jackson, that's you think about if you just had a middle of the league offensive line coach, a guy, because really you got your top ones, and then you got a bunch of guys in the middle that could go either way, that are like pretty good to good. And then you got the bottom, group that are not, that's where Load Holt would be.
Yeah.
He'd be in the bottom three.
Sure.
However, has he or Levy or someone found the magic to get every ounce of production and talent extract from this group collectively of, let's just say you're going to play 8 guys. I'm sure you'd love to play 9, but I don't know if Mississippi State has 9 legit guys that can play. I don't know if they have 5. But anyway, the point is, man, if you just had a number 8, 9, 10, 11 offensive line coach in the league, then what would you be working with, knowing that you've got a 6'4", 230-pound quarterback and a 6'1"-ish, 225, 230-pound bruiser at tailback who, when healthy, is damn good. What would that look like for Mississippi State football? And then the defensive line, we'll see. You know that LSU and Georgia and Ole Miss and Texas A&M and Bama are going to be more than serviceable on both sides. Now, some of them will have better on this side or whatever, and some will avoid injury and some will not. But the other teams were asking the question of, and I think Florida's going to make a jump, and they could be a handful. Look, they basically have two defensive coordinators on their staff. One's the head coach and John Summerall, and one's his good friend Brad White, who was incredible at Kentucky with no help on the offensive side of the ball. But I think that's something that everybody is trying to do. I heard Steve Sarkisian talk yesterday about how disappointed he was, and here they are, Texas,
right,
how disappointed he was in their offensive line to start the year, especially the first 6 or 7 games. He's like, we weren't prepared. We didn't have the personnel we thought we did. Arch had to run for his life. Then we got some things settled. Looked pretty good down the stretch the last 5 games of the year. So we'll see. What you got?
They have got you asked what it would look like. Well, it would look like Camario would look a little RG3-ish.
Well, or even RG3's a small guy.
That's right.
He wasn't
6'4".
a big kid,
Yeah.
still not.
God.
He was actually really light.
He was.
Camario's 6'4", 230.
God.
He's a monster.
And he is still this fast.
Because I told you, I saw him during baseball. I don't remember which game because it runs together, but I saw him at Duty Noble. He is a large human being.
Yeah, RG3 ain't no 6'3", 215 like
No.
this. No, he's not.
No, he's 6'1". But I can still see him in the Redskins uniform or command, whatever. He's not big. He doesn't have a big, you want the Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Cam Newton. You want big legs, big trunk. Remember the book QB by Feldman, where Trent Dilfer ran. He ran the numbers on every single NFL quarterback from the 1983 Elway Marino, Todd Blackledge, so on, draft on, and the proof was in the pudding. You better have a big blank, and some big legs so that you can take some big hits. There are exceptions. Drew was amazing. He stayed healthy for the most of the time.
Pretty thick.
Remarkable. Yeah, he's not big, but he was a little thick for his size.
Where he needed to be.
Yeah. But tiny compared to the guys I just talked about. Jake Coker
he's thick.
is huge.
Big boy.
Back in a second. Hey, here we go. Out of bounds, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, and the show is brought to you by Espolón Tequila. Excited to have them in the house and try their reposado. It's delicious. And, of course, you can make top shelf margaritas with Espolón Blanco or reposado. You can find it at your local wine and spirit shop, including Rain Cellars in Flora, right by Flora Butcher. Great selection of steaks and seafood. And they have the Saladays salad, which is Mississippi. It's great, healthy. And so Flora Butcher, and right beside it is Rain Cellars. They have Espolón Tequila, Elijah Craig Bourbon, and of course they have Tito's. 105.9 The Zone ESPN. I'm your host, Bo Bounds, with Straight Funk. We did get into a little football there. Well, I guess we did in the 7:30 segment. We just talked Michigan football and the fact that they're firing their AD this week, kind of coming off the Sharon Moore scandal last year. For those of you who may not have kept up with Michigan football after Harbaugh left, which I get it, just because he was one of the most polarizing guys. In fact, he was the most polarizing until leaving, and then Lane became the most polarizing football coach in college football, right? Whatever Harbaugh did, we were like eyeballs. And he didn't even tweet like Lane. He was at a huge brand. I mean, he could just be Jim Harbaugh. But whatever he said and whatever he did, whether it was running camps here 10 years ago, coming down to Pearl, Mississippi and making the SEC mad and finding any and every loophole he could to find a way to get better players to Michigan because of what he inherited. But Harbaugh was the most polarizing for a long stretch of time. And then Lane was. Was there anybody in between? I don't think so. Harbaugh and Lane. I mean, Dabo does his thing, and he rubs a lot of people wrong. And the syrupy, sappy, preachy stuff really grates on people, and then some people like it. Saban, was Saban polarizing? Yeah, but not in the way that I'm talking about Harbaugh and Lane.
No.
Saban was just hard charging. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. Get out of my way.
I'm Nick Saban.
Yeah. I work 18 hours a day, and I eat the same turkey salad every day because I can't even thinking about ordering something for 10 seconds. He did. I mean, I remember reading the Tom Dienhart article, turkey salad, every day.
Yeah.
If there was, football, sports is very rigid and militaristic. We all know that, right? I mean, it is, in fact, that's how it got created, so to speak, right? I mean, coaches starting in the World War I era took what generals and majors and so on did in the military and incorporated that kind of rigid, regimented schedule for young men.
Yeah.
Who quite frankly need that kind of discipline and structure to show up every day and get things done at 19, 20 years old. And then in World War II, we even doubled down on the very militaristic, regimented, rigid. It's why some student athletes have a hard time transitioning out for a minute into the working world, depending on what direction they go. And the same thing with military entering into the private sector is because you are told where to be every single second of the day. And then if you have flexibility in the private sector, you have to adjust and adapt. Somebody's not saying you have to be here at 6:04 a.m. And then we'll get you for 45 minutes, and then you're going to go somewhere else, and you'll be somewhere else at 7:02 a.m. And then you're going somewhere else at, breakfast is this time. Everything. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anyway, I went from Harbaugh and Lane Kiffin and Saban being polarizing in their own ways to talking about the military. Was that weird?
Nah, I mean, it's all intertwined.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, let's just do this again because somebody requested it.
Why is there air?
I knew y'all would like that. Mike Leach said that in here. This was his line in here.
If a wise man had a dove in his pocket and a rock in his hand, where's the bullfrog?
That was Mike's answer when I asked him about Dave Aranda. Who knew? I don't know. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Chicken fried chicken, Blue Plate, Burgers, Blues Barbecue, Dogwood, Flowwood, Smash Burgers, Dirty Bird wrap. Get it with fried chicken, not grilled. Dirty Bird wrap. Get some onion rings. Throw a party. Fried pickles. Burgers, Blues Barbecue. Order lunch for the office today. B3 Dogwood, Flowwood. Sun Devil Macy is on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line. I love the why is there air clip. Love it. Well, it's awesome. I wish I need to go back and get even more cut-ups from Leach.
Don't do it anymore.
Oh, goodness. I love him. Can you imagine? He would be winning and winning and winning and winning wherever he was in the SEC in this new era of watered-down college football. All right, do we want to go Kurt Cignetti? Speaking of the national championship coach, Lane Kiffin did not win the national championship last year. I know he stole all the headlines. But Kurt Cignetti won how many times have y'all, because I'll do this every now and then, maybe because I'm in the business and I talk to myself, I will say out loud, Kurt Cignetti and Indiana won the national championship in football. Have you said that out loud? Have you written it down and looked at it? Which they say that's what we need to do. Kurt Cignetti, head football coach at Indiana, the worst Power 4 program in the country, won the national championship last year by going undefeated.
Yeah.
And on the way, blew out the Alabama Crimson Tide, the number one college football program in the history of, not the best place to win. Okay, the easiest path is places like LSU, Georgia, and Ohio State. But the number one college football program of all time, because of their willpower and commitment quotient, Alabama, they blew their doors off in the Rose Bowl. Former Alabama assistant coach Kurt Cignetti, who none of us knew when he was there because there was too many other stars under Saban as far as coordinators that were going through. And really the first star coordinator was a little bit of Jim McElwain, but then Kirby, a few years into Saban's tenure and before Kirby goes to his alma mater in Georgia.
Yeah, because McElwain got caught up with that shark.
Well, I don't know what happened at Florida, but you're right. He did get caught up with a shark in Florida, and Dan Mullen replaced him and actually did a great job 90% of the time. But anyway, the point is, we've got some Kurt Cignetti. He talks about on why he left Alabama, okay? And I did not know who he was until Bartu threw his name out 6-7 years ago when he was at James Madison. But this is Kurt Cignetti explaining why he went from Bama to Division II head coach.
You make a big decision to leave Coach Saban's Alabama staff to take a coaching job and to go down to the Division II level. What was it that made you confident in yourself that, hey, it's time to go bet on myself, go down a level and take a head coaching job?
I just had to be a head coach. I didn't want to finish up as a career assistant. It was an unprecedented move, and I know that. And it was a lifestyle change at the time, too. I was enjoying life in Indiana, PA. We won a lot of games, and near the end, I felt like I had a couple national championship teams ready to go, and then Elon called. Nobody thought you could win there, and their track record was worse than Indiana. And we rattled off 8 in a row and beat JMU the next year up at JMU. And then took the JMU job. That job was a winner, but we improved them by 6 games year one. So year one, we've always had big turnarounds. And I loved that place and had no intention of leaving. Indiana called. It was a quick process. I think by the time I came here, I just had a lot of confidence and belief because we'd won a lot of championships.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. he actually got head coaching experience at D2, Indiana, PA, then went to Elon, which y'all didn't even know played football, then went to James Madison and won like 91% of his games. And then, oh, wow, he had a lot of confidence in championships after years of figuring out how he wanted to do it. And so Indiana hired someone with head coaching experience. And he understood how to staff and run a program. Isn't that amazing?
Crazy how that works.
Crazy. Can you imagine if that's the way that your athletic department operated? That was Kurt Cignetti. He went from Alabama under Saban to a college that none of you have ever heard of.
No.
Indiana, PA. I mean, I don't know what they have. 18 scholarships?
Just being kind.
He won big there.
Yep.
Then he went to Elon.
I thought
Budget's probably about $110,000. Won big there. Went to James Madison's budget there's probably about $700,000, which SEC programs already spent this morning, and improved them by 6 games in year one. I was told by people in this state that you need all this time and that you shouldn't expect, I guess you don't have high expectations, but you shouldn't expect anything in year one or even year two. I mean, you got to set that bar low, baby. I mean, you won't want to. I mean, we have an athletic department in this state and too many fans in that fan base who still believe that it's the 2011, 2003, 1993, 1986 model where you give a coach 3 or 4 years to build, or 5. So anyway, I thought some of you, and I can already tell on the Dancing Rabbit Golf text line, that some of you would like that drop on Kurt Cignetti going from Alabama, where you have everything you need. Whatever Saban asked for, he got. Alabama to Indiana, PA. I'll take a cut and pay at that age. 51, 52. I'm in Alabama. I'm making all this money. We're winning championships. If I hold out, maybe something else happens. I'm known as the quirky, weird assistant, but I'm off the charts brilliant. Saban somehow picked up on that to hire him. What? Will you look it up, Jackson, please? I know you did last week. And 2011, 2010. So we're talking somebody now, Kurt Cignetti's dad was a legendary coach, I think, in Pennsylvania. So I don't know if that's, Saban's from West Virginia, went to Kent State, spent 1 year as the Toledo head coach in between NFL stops, coached in Cleveland. He could have very well heard of Kurt Cignetti's dad. But long before he hired Kurt Cignetti at Alabama, even though he's quirky and weird, off the charts brilliant. And the rest is history. Kurt Cignetti goes to Indiana, PA, D2. Elon, James Madison, wins at an extraordinary rate, figuring out how to develop into a head coach. Improved James Madison by 6 games in year one.
Jeez.
Won championships along the way, and then goes to Indiana, Hoosiers, and wins a national championship.
His dad also coached at IUP for forever.
Okay. So there we go. There we go.
He was with Saban 07 to 10.
Dang, that was early. I'll never forget Jake Coker, who I got to hang out with last week, and he won a national title at Bama as a QB, but he signed with Florida State and Jimbo out of high school.
Good.
And the reason why, Coker was a phenomenal player down in the Mobile area, and Jimbo offered him, and Alabama had not, and so he committed.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he committed on the spot, but he committed. And then Bama came in late, and his mom said, "You gave Jimbo Fisher your word, you're going to Florida State. Well, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Coker transfers to Alabama. And I will never forget him telling us at dinner one night at Philip M's Steakhouse on the property of Pearl River Resort. He walked us through the difference in Jimbo's program and Saban's program. And we all thought for a minute, Jimbo was, people were convinced he was a star.
Yeah.
In fact, Bartu was the first one to pop that bubble. And, of course, Jimbo wrecked Florida State before leaving and then wrecked A&M. But I'll never forget Coker was like, I thought, when I left high school, I went to Florida State, those workouts were like, wow. And Jimbo had spent time under Saban at LSU. And he said, we'd get a bottle of muscle milk after the workout at Florida State. He said, I go to Alabama, and Scott Cochran, the legendary strength and conditioning coach, gives me a sheet of paper of the workout. All right. He's now at the University of Alabama, transferring from Florida State. And Jake Coker looks at it and he goes, is this for the week? And Cochran goes, no, that's for today.
God.
I want you to think about that. It's not like Florida State was St. Mary's or Elon. Okay. And then Coker talked about how after the first workout, he couldn't move. So he's just laying on the turf, I'm assuming, I think is what he said, inside the indoor practice facility.
Right.
And he said, right when you're done, and this was several years ago, the recovery process was something that I had never experienced. He said we had access to any therapist, trainers. And he said it wasn't just much. He said they had this is before everybody did it, just this like all the food and drinks you could want. Saban had already implemented the NFL recovery into the Alabama football program long before even Jake Coker got there.
Man.
Okay, this is Cignetti talking about his advice. Kurt Cignetti, national championship coach, Indiana Hoosiers. What? This is him talking about advice that he gives to young coaches.
What's the biggest piece of advice you have for a young coach who wants to make it?
Never give up on your goal. I mean, look at me. I was, 28, 30-year assistant coach, took a D2 head job, and now, I don't feel like I've made it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we had a nice year last year. We won a national championship. We've had success, a lot of success, but there's challenges ahead. You can never feel like you made it, but you got to be persistent. You got to believe in yourself. And then when you get that opportunity, you got to make the most of it. You got to walk and blaze your own trail. You can't be somebody else. You got to be yourself, because there's a lot of ways to skin a cat.
Wow. What if Indiana, I think there's a lot of people that are still like, one hit wonder.
Yeah.
Okay. What if he's there for 6 or 7 more years? They've already gone to 2 college football playoff appearances and won a national title. Let's just say he's there for 6 or 7 years and they go to 3 more college football playoff appearances. Won't that be incredible that the Indiana Hoosiers, who no one ever watched play or cared about, could be on the scene and in the forefront for some time now?
He'd be a case study forever, right? He probably already is, right?
He absolutely already is. He won a national championship at Indiana.
Yes. Stop. That's that.
I mean, I remember when they asked Kirby about it, you could tell he was like, and Kirby's a smart guy. I mean, obviously he's not as quirky and weird as Cignetti, and he may not be as brilliant, but he's a smart guy. But when they asked Kirby about it, you could tell in his facial expression, he was like, I still can't blanking believe it.
Yeah, he can't fathom it.
That Indiana won a national title.
Yeah. I mean, him and the rest of the country, right?
Yeah.
I don't know when I'll be able to accept that.
I don't think we've even thought about really
digesting that.
Yeah,
No way.
and wrapping our brains around the fact that the Indiana Hoosiers are champs in football,
No way.
not hockey
Right.
or basketball, in which they really hadn't been good in 25 years. So, but we do know that Bob Knight won it in 76, 81, and 87. I was at that 87 Final Four, but the point is that's what they were. And then Peyton Manning made that more of a football state.
Yep.
Because I have friends that we've worked with that live in Indianapolis over the years, and one was tied into Turquoise Place with us, and he was like, "Look, we were hoops, but Peyton changed to where the Colts were winning, and people caught the football fever, but it didn't, trickle down or resonate with any of the college teams in the state of Indiana."
Right.
And then Kurt Signetti is hired, and he wins a title. Does that tell us that they did not have the most expensive roster? Not close. Okay. And they didn't have the most 5 stars. So I still think we're trying to really define what does it tell us in this new era of splintered, fractured talent, watered down teams.
Got to figure out what the heck just happened.
What happened? They beat Miami.
Yeah.
They beat Bama.
Yeah.
And they beat other teams that we didn't think that they would beat.
Embarrassingly. Like hurt their feelings. That 38-3, that hurts your feelings.
38-3. Hey, for our listeners, y'all probably forgot because you were drinking champagne or whatever, or ice cold beer. Indiana beat Alabama in football 38-3. That happened. You never thought that would happen.
No.
Nick Saban never thought it would happen. I mean, Jesse and, wherever, Leeds, Alabama.
Ain't no way.
Never thought, who threw his TV out in the street the night that Indiana beat Alabama by 6 touchdowns.
God.
Dominating.
Probably get in a fight if you wear an Indiana jersey down there.
Ooh, that's a good point.
They
I hadn't thought about that.
But be careful down there. They don't like that.
Yeah, you probably don't want to wear an Indiana Hoosiers jersey in Tuscaloosa or Birmingham or any of the small towns, but definitely those two that I can think of.
Give it a little time.
We're powered by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck in Gluckstadt. Casey's a Notre Dame fan. Tell him how easy their schedule is. It's basically D3. Steve Robertson at 9:30.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Our Warning.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with OOB. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
Hey. Thanks for joining us on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Ford Plumbing and Air. So, this is the company you want to go with. Ford, locally owned Ford Plumbing and Air. Call them today. Air conditioning, plumbing. We love AC. I mean, I love it. I hope you do. All the Europeans that have come over here love it because they're still posting about it. Ford Plumbing and Air. So if you have a plumbing issue, which I like indoor plumbing too. I like it when it works. Actually, I love it. You know, y'all like to pin me down on what I like and what I love. I love indoor plumbing working. And I love a cool, cold house too. Ford Plumbing and Air, call them. They do a great job. We're so glad to have them with us. Awesome partner. Great story, too. Locally owned Ford Plumbing and Air, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Jackson Meadows, do you like indoor plumbing working and a cold house?
You just had me thinking about the alternative of indoor plumbing not working.
Right.
I just don't see that being something I'm interested in.
Me, neither.
I'll pass.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Hard pass. Fair enough.
I mean, the AC's, after Katrina, I learned that I couldn't do without it.
No.
Because it was hot.
No.
It was so hot.
Good Lord have mercy. Yeah.
I'm good on that.
Oof. All right, we're powered by Pearl River Resort, and we're presented by Ford Plumbing and Air. Ford Plumbing and Air. Call them today, locally owned. They do a great job. A couple of different ways that you can get in touch with us. The Dancing Rabbit Golf text line is 601-885-3776. 601-885-3776. Who do you have winning the SEC championship this year in football? And who do you have winning the national championship in football? Are you going Ohio State? Georgia, Texas, LSU, someone else? Indiana? Could Indiana go back-to-back? Could Kurt Cignetti go back-to-back at Indiana? All right, so who do you have winning the SEC championship, which is basically finishing number one?
Right, yeah.
Or you can even go regular season. You may say the conference championship, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
But who do you have either finishing number one or winning in Atlanta? I don't know how many more years we're going to have the SEC championship game. But who do you have, and who do you like to win the national championship? Some of you may go Oregon with Dante Moore. Now, Notre Dame has an unbelievable schedule. I mean, Notre Dame has a cakewalk of a schedule. Jackson, pull it up and feed it to us in a minute. And Marcus Freeman is a good coach.
Yeah.
All right. And they've figured out just enough of the portal, too. But, of course, they recruit well. They're Notre Dame. They recruit in the top 10, around 6 to 12. And they retain their players. So they've got that mojo going. But I'd like to know who you have winning the SEC and who you have winning the national championship in football. You going to Ohio State? Kirby going to have a bounce back year? They've been down for a couple years. I was reading Bud Elliott, and he was like, they haven't been electric. Since Brock Bowers left, and then it was still kind of what? Are they going to have some dudes coming off the edge? How are they going to look? Will Texas continue to underachieve? They've done that for the better part of 50 years. And then they had that one, Mac Brown went and got one. A&M lost some key assistants, but they've got a hell of a roster. Kiffin, one of the best top 5 college football coaches now in the country. He's at a monster in LSU, and we know what Kirby's done at Georgia. Oh, the one we may be sleeping on. Can Bama bounce back after getting embarrassed in the second round of the college football playoff by Indiana 38-3? I think that's another question. The text line, 601-885-3776. We want you to download the Out of Bounds radio app so you can listen to the show wherever you are, in-state, out-of-state, walking, gym. Maybe you're at Grit Fitness and Training. Beautiful, beautiful facility where Jake Mangum and Connor Griffin and JT Ginn and Jay Powell is the director of baseball operations. When you're working out at Grit on Lakeland Drive in Flowood, you can be listening to the Out of Bounds show on the Out of Bounds radio app. Out of Bounds radio app. Stream us, baby. We love you. Jackson, give me the first 4 opponents, please, sir.
You got, and they're at home for the first 3, then they go to away on the last one. So let's go Wisconsin at home.
Okay.
Rice at home. The Rice Owls.
2-0.
Michigan State at home.
3-0.
They go to Purdue.
4-0.
They go to UNC and see Bill Belichick.
5-0.
They host Stanford.
6-0.
Trash. They go to BYU.
Ooh.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay, that could be their one loss. I'll give them 50-50. They're going to have to strap it on. That is a physical program.
Watch, they'll drop that
out
game.
there. I don't know how they've done that in the state of Utah, but both those now I don't know what Utah will be after Kyle Whittingham, but both of those programs have been physical as hell for years. Go ahead.
They'll probably drop that game at 9 p.m.
Yeah,
BYU
that
time.
could be one where you get it gets sideways on you.
They go to Navy.
When?
Host Miami.
Ooh. Okay, that will be a challenge. Or very well could be a challenge.
Sure. Host Boston College.
Win.
Host SMU.
Win.
Head to Syracuse.
Win.
Now they can.
So they're going 10-2, 11-1, or 12-0, and they're in.
Yeah, because
they got left out last year, and Bartu. I can't believe this. Bartu says they got hosed. Which, can you believe Notre Dame got hosed? Because they've been given gifts over the years because they're Notre Dame. Go ahead, Jackson.
Just thankful they got hosed, but yes, they can lose 2 ball games.
Yeah, you're in at 10-2.
They'll walk. Yeah. If they don't make the playoffs,
well, I say they are. Yeah, but with the SEC going to non-conference games and everybody's going to have more losses, that's going to be really good for Notre Dame and Big Ten teams, and could be good for a Big 12 or ACC team too.
Sure.
We had 2 G5 teams in the college football playoff last year: Tulane and James Madison, who had no business being in. The year before, we had SMU and Boise State. I know SMU's Power 4 in the ACC. But SMU and Boise State shouldn't have been in. So we're going to have to see how that looks going forward. Again, y'all know where I stand. The G5 or G6, whatever you want to call it, should have their own Final Four. People will watch it and bet on it, and it'll still get some solid ratings. And even if the Power 4 needs to kick them some money, even though they're not in it, that's fine.
Yeah, kick it.
But you don't need Tulane in the college football playoff.
Not your final.
Great story, and kudos to John Summerall, who's now at Florida.
Sure.
But you don't want Tulane and James Madison. It's just not.
I don't want the best story. I want the best team.
Yeah, you gotta do everything you can to get the best Power 4 teams in the college football playoff.
Simple.
The show is brought to you by Key City, Mississippi Queen. It's great beer. Mississippi is their Pilsner, and Mi Vida is their Mexican lager. Key City beer out of Vicksburg. Buy some today. Good morning. What's up? Out of Bounds 105.9 The Zone ESPN, brought to you by Ford Plumbing and Air. Ford Plumbing and Air, locally owned in Ridgeland, Mississippi. They do work all over the Jackson metro area. Call them today, Ford Plumbing and Air. Let them know that you heard about it on the Out of Bounds show. They do a great job. HVAC, air conditioning, very important. Plumbing that works, super important. Ford Plumbing and Air. 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Bowbound Straight Funk with you. And so were you surprised that I got in the swimming pool down in the Mississippi Gulf Coast with a bunch of other people?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm surprised you got in a pool that had other people in it.
Well, I did debate it a bit because we were with our biggest client and friend and all the other people I mentioned.
When in Rome.
But I had a good time. I mean, you got somebody, I don't usually do that. I don't belong to, so I'm not at a pool where people are waiting on me. And it was great that, we were getting buckets of ice cold Michelob Ultra. We knew we weren't leaving the property. And it was just a chill afternoon for a couple hours.
Not too shabby.
No. That bar area is cool by the pool. I mean, it's shaded, feels great. Burger was good. But I had a good time for sure. I wish I could share all the stories that Jake Coker has about Lane Kiffin, but I can't.
Dangerous.
They're Lane being his offensive coordinator at the University of Alabama. If I could share all those, or if Coker shared them, it'd be epic content. Unbelievable. Jeremy B., Morning Bow, listening live in Alaska. Texas has the talent to win the SEC, but unless Arch is special, my money is on Georgia. Mine too, for the SEC.
Fair.
I think the national contenders are coin flip amongst 4 to 5 teams. You're right. For years we only had 1 or 2 teams that could win it, depending on the year. It'd be Bama and somebody else, or Ohio State, somebody else. Now I don't even know how to quantify how many teams could make a run at it.
No.
Now that everything's splintered and fractured. It's a great question. It's something that I don't know if anybody has the answer.
Not yet.
Yeah, and I don't know if we get another 3 years of this portal stuff and 3 more champions, if we'll have an idea or if we're not. I mean, are we going to go forward and we're always going to have 10 teams that could win it?
Oh, with the portal makes that yeah.
I mean,
why is that far-fetched?
Is that high? Is it low? Will we have 12 teams? 14 teams that can win it? What does it look like? Well, every single year we'll have at least 8 to 10. That's not what college football was prior to the splintered, fractured world of talent in college football. That's not what it was. And now that Bama, Georgia, and LSU and Ohio State, I don't know about Ohio State actually. That, to me, I get the sense they can build a little more depth than our teams that are all over each other down here. I could be wrong. And I thought they did underachieve last year, considering all the pros they had on that team. However, do you think that? Like, what do you think? You tell us on the text line. How do you see that? As we're still trying to, I think we need at least 3 or 4 more years to get a real idea of what this can be, would be, should be, will be. How do you see it? Do you think we'll have 8, 10, 12, 14 teams that can win it every year because of the portal? The Dancing Rabbit Golf text line is 601-885-3776. I got an incredible story for you. We don't talk a lot of soccer, but Lionel Messi is known as, along with Ronaldo, the last 15 years, greatest player in the world.
Yes.
And what he is doing at 39 years old in the World Cup, hang with me, because this is Tom Brady, Michael Jordan type stuff. What he is doing in this World Cup with Argentina is, at 39, is remarkable. And what Novak Djokovic is doing in tennis at 39 is remarkable. But this cardiologist posted on Twitter hey, I'm a cardiologist, and the greatest footballer who ever lived spent his childhood injecting hormones into his own legs every single night because his body had stopped growing. This is the medical story behind Lionel Messi. When I read this a couple weeks ago, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he says it's more extraordinary than most people realize. At 11 years old, Messi had barely grown since he was 9. So he stood 4'4". Doctors diagnosed growth hormone deficiency. All right. So the master gland at the base of the brain wasn't producing enough growth hormone. Without treatment, specialists predicted he'd never pass 4'7".
Wow.
The treatment of nightly injections of synthetic growth hormone into his thighs. Okay. So a small boy giving himself shots while other kids played. Cost was around $1,500 a month. Impossible for his family in Rosario to pay for the long haul. As a physician, let me tell you that what those injections actually were. Growth hormone is the most powerful signaling molecules in the human body. It drives bone growth, muscle development, and tissue repair. And so with that, without it, you're talking about a child who's trying to replace this. Okay, it's called a rescue, according to medical terms. Without it, Messi's growth plates would have fused early, and he'd have lived his life severely short. Yeah. With it, his body was given the raw material to become what his genetics intended. This is the same class of medicine I've written about on this platform. This is this doctor. Replacing what the body can't produce. Insulin for diabetics, thyroid hormone for hypothyroidism. And now in the frontier I keep returning to, we're moving towards cell therapies that could one day let a body produce these molecules instead of injecting them nightly. Messi's childhood was the old model of that fight. A needle every night for years. Then football history turned on a napkin. At 13, after a trial that stunned Barcelona, sporting director Carlos Rexach grabbed the nearest paper he could find, a restaurant napkin, and wrote a promise. Barcelona would sign him and pay for his treatment. Yep. The family moved to Spain. The injections continued. Lionel Messi grew to 5'7".
Now he's a menace.
Yeah. And here's the part that gives me chills as a doctor. The very thing that nearly ended his dream became the engine of his greatness.
Wow.
That low center of gravity, the short stature everyone once saw as a defect, became the source of the balance, the impossible quick changes of direction. I've never seen anything like it in sports. The dribbling no taller player could replicate. They couldn't. His body's limitation medically corrected and then weaponized, turned into the most unguardable weapon in the sports history. Lionel Messi. Yep. That's a post on X by Afshin Imrani, medical doctor, cardiologist.
That's pretty tight.
Steve Robertson coming up next on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. What does the Mississippi State baseball roster look like now that the Major League Baseball draft is done? We tried to get Jake Thompson on from Ole Miss. He had an appointment. He'll be coming on tomorrow. Hey, well, you knew Ace Reese was gone, but anyway, we're going to talk about who's leaving, who's coming in, and what this roster looks like, because y'all need something to look forward to. And fall ball will start. Evidently, fall ball has become your second best sport. That would be fall baseball.
Nice.
On the campus of Mississippi State University, because Brian O'Connor is a big-time coach. Steve Robertson coming up next on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line.
guess what? Texas still sucks.
We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone ESPN. If you're in Starkville this summer, you want to hit Older Brother Bistro, phenomenal restaurant, lunch and dinner by Barton Deacons, award-winning pitmaster. And then most everybody knows about Two Brothers and how they took the SEC by storm, and they got the best wings in the SEC, some of the best street tacos, and a great atmosphere. So if you're in Starkville, check that out. Older Brother Bistro, Two Brothers, right beside each other in the Cotton District. There's some other wonderful places to eat, including Taste Italian Kitchen up there, and more. But Older Brother Bistro, Two Brothers, Starkville, if you're going this summer. And you should. I'm going today. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We welcome in Steve Robertson, genespage.com. I followed the board all weekend. Steve and his crew had like 97 articles or posts and so on what was going on with the Major League Baseball draft, with everybody from Ace Reese. I mean, you knew Ace was going, right? Which is great for him. Awesome for the Mississippi State baseball program to pump out another first-round pick. Ben Davis went pretty early, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to get an idea on how the roster could look right now. There'll still be some other movement and transactions. Steve Robertson joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, genespage.com. They're all over this baseball draft and Brian O'Connor squad. All right, Steve. So tell me what we're getting asked when I was promoting you the last couple hours coming on the show. People are asking about the catcher's position. Maluski's coming back. What else do they have? What are your expectations there? Because it was hit and miss the first 6 weeks of the season while they were trying to get Maluski healthy. Your thoughts?
Well, you got Berkeley Mabus coming in from Oregon, who's an absolute dude. And, last year catcher was a concern. I don't think it's nearly the concern this year because you're bringing in an elite offensive player, but more importantly, an even better defender than you had last year. So I think they've addressed that concern. And, Will Brick wasn't going to help us much this year, especially offensively. The hit tool just isn't quite there yet. But, I think they did really well. But Berkeley Mabus is the guy that's going to make this club better.
Okay. So you don't just feel better, you feel much better considering what they had to navigate this past year at that position.
Oh, absolutely. And listen, we knew last year early in the fall that the catching position was a little bit questionable. And I think Maluski came on down the stretch. Maybe the last 6 weeks ago he was really good. But, competition makes everybody better. And Berkeley Mabus is the guy that Oregon wanted to keep. And now he's headed to Mississippi State. So, you're excited about that aspect of it. But, no, I'm no longer concerned about catcher.
Okay. Steve Robertson, genespage.com. They'll get you updated. They've got tons of content on genespage.com with the draft over the weekend and Brian O'Connor setting up his 2027 roster. And by the way, we do need to do this. Congratulations. To all of them, right? But what an opportunity, and how cool is it for Ace Reese to be a first-round pick out of Mississippi State, Steve?
Yeah, I spoke with him right around the Team USA stuff just to get some context for the guys that made that team. And I told him, I said, hey, man, best of luck with the draft. And I'm confident you're going to go in the first round, and we're going to change that outfield graphic just for you, brother. And it's like he had never thought about that aspect of it. He goes, yeah, that is pretty cool. It is cool. You go back, Dale Unser, the first ever number one pick in Mississippi State history, now Ace Reese, number 21. That's super cool.
It is cool. All right. Will you walk our listeners through why you're excited about Wilson Anderson, Landon Brown, and Denton Lord, Steve?
Well, typically those guys go pro. It's like when you begin to think about this class, at the end of the day, you lost three position players, and two of them reclassed for the draft in the first place, right? You take a flyer on Will Brick and Rocco Maniscalco, hoping they come to school and hoping they don't get what they want out of the draft. But, Martin Sheeler is the only true 2026 you lost, and that's an outfielder that probably wasn't going to play a lot this year. So none of those guys would have made state better this year. Obviously, you want their long-term potential. So to say it's not a loss is to be disingenuous. But this baseball club got a lot better, especially on the pitching side. And Wilson Anderson is a guy whose brother played at Florida. It was a lot of chatter when he committed that he was going to be a high draft pick, but nobody would meet his asking price high enough for him to forego college ball. And, you were hoping to get maybe two of those three. You end up getting all three of them. And then you throw in Jake Carbaugh, who ended up having a really good, combine situation where he ended up ranked right at number 203 in the draft. So a lot of your concerns on the pitching side were addressed. And that's the thing, how many times this year did you wish you had just one more pitcher, right? Well, now you've got a nice foundation, not just to help this year at the bullpen, but these guys are going to all compete for weekend roles in year number 2. And that just, again, Justin Parker and Brian O'Connor stacking great pitching.
Steve Robertson talking Brian O'Connor's Mississippi State baseball team on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Two Brothers Wings. Enjoy them this summer and have an ice-cold beverage with it. Steve and his team were all over the Major League Baseball draft, genespage.com. You texted me earlier this morning, so I'll let you tell our listeners what Aiden Till's going to do.
Well, the fact that he goes in the 11th round, I think, speaks volumes. That tells me he wants to sign. He got calls last year, but wanted to come to Mississippi State, chase a national championship. He was a draft-eligible sophomore last year. So, yeah, he has some leverage this year, and the 5 for 5 probably plays in a little bit. But the fact that they take him in the 11th round, tells me that they're probably going to pay him over that 150. Everybody in 11 through 20 with leverage gets at least 150. I suspect he'll get better than that. But, we went into the draft expecting him to have an opportunity to sign, and that's the expectation today.
If there's... Can you give me, well, we just talked about a couple, and you can reference those guys again. Can you give me, Jacob Parker's not fair in the impact that he had this past year. Good Lord. It looks like he wants to be generational like Rafi and Will. So, but can you give me 1 to 3 names of guys, freshmen, coming in that you think could put themselves in position to have an impact on Mississippi State's team because of fall ball in the 4 weeks coming out of Christmas?
Well, I love the transfer class, but I think mainly it's freshman arms that can really show some benefit this year, from the signing class. You got some younger guys, too, that have the ability to be dudes in time. Noah Danza's a guy, too, that got a lot of draft hype, and I think, honestly, kind of knowing Rocco was going pro kind of made his decision a little bit easier that he can come in here and possibly be, the shortstop of the future, when Ryder Woodson moves on after this year. And Danz will probably play a little bit this year, especially in the midweek, kind of get his feet wet, see what he can do and get him ready for next year. But, I think probably the only question mark you really have is who's going to play second base, right? Is it Graw, the infielder from South Dakota State? Is he going to be in the mix there? Is Sean James in the mix at second base? We'll see. But I think right now you feel like now you've got to establish roles for these young pitchers. But I think from a positional standpoint, you're probably right where you want to be, with really the only true maybe competition is second base. You got 3 portal outfielders coming in, and that pretty much replaces what you're losing in Bryce Chance, Aiden Till, and Vitus Valenkas. But I think Brian O'Connor is going to be kind of in the same situation he was last year, where he's going to have more guys capable of playing those 9 spots than he's got guys that, spots available for.
Okay. How much more movement do you expect from O'Connor and crew?
Well, I'm confident they're going to take another pitcher, and I wish they could find a solid left-handed reliever somewhere, because you're a little bit thin on left-handed pitching. William Kirk is the guy working back from an ACL injury. You know what you got in Tico. Maddox Miller, of course, is a dude, and But I think they're probably a softball short. You need another matchup guy out of the bullpen if you can find one. You don't want to take a guy just to take a guy. If he's not capable of winning, then you don't want to go get him. Scheinflue is a guy that transferred in from South Alabama that can be, kind of a long reliever or a matchup guy. But, that's where I think, having a guy like Dane Burns back would have been kind of big, even though, Dane's looking for more innings. But you need that guy that can get you that lefty-lefty late in the matchup.
Yeah. All right. Did I miss you covered shortstop and you mentioned second base, what's going to happen there, but they've got options. You feel much better about the catching position. Sounds like you feel better about the bullpen, but it's also wait and see to see what plays out in the fall, Steve?
Yeah, I think so. And again, where's Overbeat going to play? Is he going to be at first, where he was much of last year? He wants to compete at third, but he understands that him. So that's kind of the thing, too, is kind of just settling where everybody's going to be. But, I think you've met your needs, and I think you feel great about where you stand. And now it's about getting everybody to campus and getting to work. And all those pitchers are either in Starkville or on their way there today. That's a big deal.
Okay. Steve Robertson, genespage.com. They've been all over it as far as the Major League Baseball draft, plus the portal, everything O'Connor, Parker, and the whole crew are doing. genespage.com, 247 Sports. Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you.
See ya.
All right, so that was a good update. Y'all got a little bit of the fix there. Wilson Anderson, Landry Brown, Denton Lord, all these guys coming in. These were guys that you weren't sure you were going to get on campus. And so I think Landon Brown, Wilson Anderson, Landon Brown, Denton Lord, among others, are, according to Steve, they'll be there today. Or tomorrow. So that's a good thing. You want them there on campus, getting into summer school, and then starting to lift and all that kind of stuff. So that's exciting. And also congratulations for those of you who think I'm crazy. We talked about this early in the show, the Ole Miss and Mississippi State players that got drafted in the first round. And any of them that got drafted is awesome. But Cade Townsend, round 1 to the Cubs, out of Ole Miss. Taylor Rabe, first rounder to the Royals, out of Ole Miss. And we just mentioned Ace Reese, first rounder out of Mississippi State to the Mariners. So that's cool. Then Ben Davis went in round number 4 for MSU. Bryce Chance, round 10. Aiden Teal, round 11. We mentioned some of the signees, Maniscalco and Brick. On the Ole Miss side, to wrap it up after Townsend and Rabe, Hudson Calhoun, another pitcher, early, round 4, Rangers. Will Libbert to the Braves right here, 5 hours from where we are. And for many of you, you watch the Braves every night or a good bit. So Libbert goes to the Braves in round 5. And then Landon Koenig to the Mets. Landon Waters to the Blue Jays. Austin Foley, felt like he played forever. Good baseball player. To the Braves. And J.P. Robertson, another pitcher, to the San Francisco Giants in round 20. So, but, that's some first-round picks, baby. Yeah. Man, LSU had some guys drafted. That's crazy that they didn't have the year. They didn't have a year. It just went to hell. Trash. And, we loved their portal class last summer. Loved it. Of course. And then they couldn't get rolling. And, and then they had a bunch of dudes go MLB.
Yeah, I don't see that being the case next year.
I would think Jay Johnson will get them back going. Yeah.
That guy. That's a baseball dude.
One of y'all asked me the biggest story, we'll switch gears, in college football in the state. Well, there's a couple of them, right? The biggest story is Golding replacing Kiffin.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's big.
Oh, yeah.
Big shoes to fill. Lane had the greatest run in the history of Ole Miss, and the last 3 years were absolutely epic, magical, and incredible. So that's one. How good we know they'll be good, but how good will Trinidad and Lacey be in that Ole Miss defensive line? Okay. Over in Starkville. Oh, and Ole Miss, 3 of the first 4 games. To me, this is a storyline. Louisville on a neutral field, you're going to have to play.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, LSU at home. You love being at home, but you're going to have to play. And then going to Florida, who's going to be much improved under Summerall. This is a different schedule than what Lane, who acknowledged this a month ago in an interview, of the incredible non-conference schedule that he had, plus that they landed some good SEC scheduling.
Right.
This totally changes for Pete Golding in year 1 as a head coach. Totally. And so we'll see. On the Mississippi State side, y'all know the drill. Levy's on the hot seat.
Yep.
To date, this thing has not gone well. And, you know, we'll continue to talk about Kamario Taylor. He's going to be good. And the question for him is how good and how many big moments will he have when it matters? I don't mean ripping off a run against La Monroe.
Right.
At Minnesota, can he make some plays to win you the game? Or at South Carolina, can he make some plays to win you the game? You have winnable conference games left and right that we have talked about ad nauseum, but it's something that we will continue to hammer. Missouri, Vanderbilt, and Auburn at home, you've got to make some hay. And Oklahoma may be in play. You know, at LSU, at Texas, I don't see it, and at Ole Miss is probably a stretch for that to be in play. However, we just mentioned several games that are, including like as good as it gets, home game draw with Missouri, Vandy, and Auburn.
That's beautiful.
So can you win 2 or 3? Or, I mean, if you sweep it, because he's going to win some other games, he's back. Can he win 2 or 3 and then add and do enough to come back? Can he Sylvester Croom or Sam Pittman this thing?
Right. Delay the inevitable.
Yeah. Which some of you won't, some of, you know, that's you've seen this act before. Somebody who doesn't look like they, you know, should be an SEC head coach right now. Pittman was able to win 9. Croom was able to win 8. I know there's some other. I mean, Mark Stoops won 8-9 games at Kentucky a couple of times. You know,
Yep.
But then when that happens, it's automatic that you extend them, and then the majority of the time you fire them 2 years later because you either are or you're not a head coach. And this has been a disaster to date. And then can Camario and Arnett be Hercules and drive enough wins to not make a move after the Egg Bowl? Or actually, if things go south, he'll be removed before then.
I mean,
you know, like if things get out from, like, if he starts winning, he'll make it throughout the year, and then you'll see how that looks. And if he did hit that number, but he'll be able. But if things go really sideways, your bye week is October 10th after playing Alabama at home, and then you go to LSU. You know, that's when Philip Montgomery could be the interim coach. We'll see. He's your best coach on staff. It looks to me like it's too little, too late. Just because, you know, the initial staffing was so bad that I don't know. Maybe you can turn the corner and make it work. Camario is special.
Yeah.
He is a phenomenal player who can rip off a run or something and tilt the field and win the game for you.
Sure.
And Arnett will be just like, you know, this glass Arnett will be better than Coleman Hutzler. Just like this Stella Artois glass would be better than Coleman Hutzler. I mean, Jackson Meadows from his couch calling plays would be better than Coleman. I can't believe y'all have done this. It is mind-boggling to me. And what a slap in the face to Mississippi State fans and donors. But this is evidently what people want to do. So, but Camario could make it a fun year. You haven't had a playmaker at quarterback since Fitz.
That's right.
All right. So for whatever reason, you saw the model that worked and then you went away from it. Lions and Tigers. And I mean, you got your rival up there that said, dual threat quarterbacks kind of work. So we'll go with Matt Corral, Jackson Dart, Trinidad Chambliss.
If Camario extends this thing, he deserves some of that pay.
Oh, he's getting paid.
No.
7 figures.
Yeah, he deserves like 50% of Levy's pay.
Oh, yeah. So would Arnett. Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I would send him an invoice.
But with a bottom 3 O-line coach and bottom 3 D-line coach, man, Camario and Fluff on one side and Arnett and Brock on the other, and Isaac Smith and a couple others are going to have to be damn good to overcome that deficiency. So we'll see. But you got one. I mean, at Minnesota, you have way more money in your team than them, and you should have better athletes. Sun Belt, then saying so that's also a winnable game. You should have more. Again, PJ Fleck, by far and away the better head coach.
Yeah.
Over the last 10 or 12 years because he's got head coaching experience in his one.
That helps.
Holy smokes, though. To me, that Minnesota game, huge. And
it really is.
And then Pete's, he can't drop. Ole Miss is better than Louisville, and Louisville's breaking in a new QB. So, I mean, this is an advance, but Brahms been a head coach way longer than Golding, but that still favors Ole Miss. But then 2 weeks later, September 19th, LSU at home. God, that's a big one for Pete. And then the next week, after that emotional game, you got to go down to Florida. And Florida's got players, and they're physical, and they're going to be way more physical under John Summerall and Brad White. That's going to be a lot different as far as navigating that compared to the unbelievable schedule Ole Miss has pulled the last 3 years. Those are the storylines. Yeah. I'm sure I'm missing one or two, but those are the big ones. Golding replacing Lane. Can he do it? Who knows? Levy on the hot seat. Can Camario, Arnett, and the crew extend his tenure in Starkville, Mississippi? Have a great Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us. We love you. If you missed anything, we're on Spotify. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. And we'll see you tomorrow.